Hey everybody, welcome to RefTime, powered by RTS and produced by Coraggio Media. I'm Tanya.
And I'm Crane. We'll be covering rules, plays, points of emphasis, and all things official. Welcome to another segment of RefTime. We have in the studio with us today the wonderful, the great, the one and only Charles Smith. How'd they used to introduce you when you played, man? They did it like that?
Just like that. So I see you starting already. We just started.
And it's going to get better from there.
It's going to be gooder and gooder. What did Jake say? The coaches want us to come on the floor and ref and be
100% get better from there.
Okay, let's do it then.
Well, welcome to the show, man.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think we had tried to invite you a couple of times, but you're in such high demand as far as being an official out there on the court, we couldn't get you.
Well, sometimes it's officiating, and depending on what time of the year it is, it's fishing. So,
oh yeah, I remember he told.
I know,
but you
he's
know what's
supposed to be bringing us some
but
fish.
check this out. Charles is a fisherman,
Yes.
but he don't eat fish.
all for the sport.
Just
That is
throws it back.
Best form of relaxation I can have right now.
And she made a good point because I think the first time you told me that I was like, "Man, can we get some fish?" You was like, "Sure, I can get." We ain't got no fish in
no,
here.
because
We
he
ain't
tells
never got
because he says he'll set it out front and then we can just come pick it up. But we
get there and everybody take it in.
No, if I know you coming, it's gonna be sitting there on ice. All I ask is that you leave my cooler.
We can do that.
Okay.
So now, are you an avid fisherman? Because I remember there was another ref, John.
He wasn't an official.
John was an official.
John Joyner?
John Joyner. He was an official. I'm pretty sure he was an official.
I don't think John ever officiated.
Okay. I think he did,
Mike
but I could be
did.
wrong. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I have the wrong Joyner. But anyway, John was an avid fisherman, but he told me he loved ice fishing.
Oh no.
Well, John's a
messing with that, huh?
little light skinned, so maybe it's the darker the complexion.
Dips below 55.
You're done.
You lose me. You lose me.
But
to
you
the
know-
spring.
You don't want to sit in an igloo and
No.
But you know something he told me which made sense. He said that when you go ice fishing, the fish, because of the cold weather, the meat is much firmer, which is okay.
I
You don't
eat
care.
fish, so I don't care.
Good. I don't even know why I brought that up. Good point.
I'm just there for the sport. To sit there at that little hut in a little hole and just sit there and wait. No.
Nah. I don't blame
good
you.
with that.
I'm not going out there.
So now, do you get out in the boat or do you just sit on the dock?
Boat.
Which boat? The
Yeah,
boat.
because you said you have a boat, don't
Yeah,
you?
I have a boat, and I have an Indiana license and Ohio license.
What about Michigan? You
No,
don't do Michigan?
No, Michigan.
You ever fished on the Great Lakes?
Oh yeah, I grew up on the Great Lakes.
That's what I thought.
So,
Where you
on
from again? Tell us.
Gary, Indiana.
Okay.
Grew up about 4 or 5 blocks from Lake Michigan. So my father and I went out there all the time,
So that's where you got your love of fishing with Dad.
pretty much. And also my hatred for ice fishing. One time he took me. He asked me the next day, "No, Daddy, it's too cold out there." And that was back when you had to dig your own hole with that auger.
Yeah.
He said, "You can make another hole over there." I was like, "No, I'm good right here. I just won't catch nothing. I stay right here."
Did he have a shanty? Bring the
No.
tent out? It was just out there with the open wind and everything?
Open wind, and Lake Michigan was about probably about 200 yards behind us.
Oh, so you guys were out there a ways.
Yeah.
But I was told by some guys, I've seen people, they would actually drive their vehicles out on the ice.
Every time I do a game in Michigan during the wintertime, I go up there. It's almost like as soon as you cross the border, you see lakes on each side. You see people with their cars out there and little huts and everything. That don't make sense. The science of that doesn't make sense to me.
But if they had a hut, like she said, a little igloo,
Yeah,
I've
but
heard
your
it can get pretty
vehicle
warm
on
in
the
those.
ice.
It'll be warm in there. So you're talking about warming the ice and a car with all of that weight on the ice.
I know, but come on now. Most of the guys, they know what they're doing, and cars don't usually fall through. You heard of some accidents like
That's
that?
why they always call them accidents.
So in other words, we're not going to get him into ice fishing.
So let's get back to the topic at hand.
That was just interesting. We
yes.
just had to go there.
So how long have you been a sports
Wow.
official? And we know that you officiate basketball. Have you ever officiated any other sports?
No, for part of the same reason. I don't want to be out in the elements.
Okay.
Basketball,
Yeah.
I've been playing it all my life, even though I did play football and baseball in high school. Basketball is like number one for me. It's played inside. Don't have to worry about the rain. Don't worry about the heat, the cold, nothing. I'm inside. I'm good.
Yep.
And that's our motto.
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
we tried to do girls lacrosse
we
for
didn't
2
try.
seasons.
We did do girls lacrosse for 2
She
seasons.
cursed
which was,
me out in a language I did not understand.
Yeah.
And I can't blame her because January, February, March, and April is their season.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. We were out there doing training, and it was a freaking blizzard. I'm like, this is stupid. What
Yeah.
are we doing?
Now, they
and
pay
girls
well.
running around in squirts. And
But they pay well. You got to admit that.
they did pay well
They
because
paid
it was a
very well.
club sport. It wasn't
But
sanctioned
it
by the
wasn't-
IHSA.
it wasn't enough money.
It's not enough money
It's
for me
not.
to go
No.
out there.
No, it's
No.
not.
You know, for example, suppose if we had to do a high school or college game out there in Kansas City the other day.
I didn't hear about the
when
weather.
the Chiefs was playing, can't remember who they played, but it was ice cold.
Yeah, see?
Outdoors.
Out
When you're an NFL
Yeah.
team, why do you not play indoors?
Yeah, you think they have enough money to build stadiums, right?
Build a stadium.
Yeah,
Let's go.
tonight, Pittsburgh play Buffalo.
Oh,
in
see?
in Buffalo. Ooh. And to get hit, number one, in football, and then to get a hit when it's that cold. I guess your adrenaline gets going, but maybe not that. Maybe not that.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? They get paid a lot of money, so I'm not going
Yeah.
to talk about it.
They do.
So you've been officiating for how long now?
It's about anywhere from 18 to 20 years.
And you've been
Take
playing
one,
the
two.
sport all your life.
Right.
And I remember talking to you years ago. You probably remember this conversation. I said, Charles, how long you think you're going to play this game? You looked at me right in my eye. You remember what you said to me?
I said, I'm going to continue to play.
You said, I'm going to play the rest of my life. And I looked at you like, there's something wrong with this, brother.
Yeah.
Because my body did not want to bang anymore.
Nope, I still play from time to time.
Yeah. You still love it
You
that
know,
much.
I still love it, but the way they play nowadays is just not as much fun
Right.
as it was 15, 20 years ago.
I think it's gone more to an ISO game. Everything's isolation.
Yeah,
If
no,
you watch
Yeah.
it, it's all about taking somebody to
me.
hoop and doing a crossover, stepping back, shooting a three, or going to dunk on them. It's a different game.
And I can't dunk anymore, so
Yeah.
it's not about that.
Yep.
But, are we going to play defense today?
Nope.
You going to help rebound?
Nope.
You going to pass the ball every now and then? Nope.
You gonna set a pick? Nope.
Are you even going to hit a shot?
Can you hit a free throw?
So you been officiating, you said 15 to 20 years?
18 to 20.
18 to 20. And what got you, I don't know if you already asked this, what
No.
got you interested in officiating?
Well, prior to me moving to Fort Wayne, a friend of mine was just like, hey, Charles, why don't we get a basketball license? And I was like, why would I want to do that?
Right.
Because I was playing in leagues all over Lake County, in Chicago, and I was like, I wouldn't even have time. But I went ahead and did it anyway, and I officiated. I think this was probably in '94, I believe.
That's when you got your license?
When I first got my license.
Okay.
It's '93 or '94.
That's 20 years.
Yeah, and
Ain't it interesting how we forget how long ago it was? It's interesting.
I was having so much fun. I don't even pay attention to time.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
So I just remember what was going on because I was coaching first. And then
What level?
Freshman in JV.
In
my
high
old
school?
High school.
Okay.
Boys.
Boys. Right.
Did you enjoy the coaching part?
Yeah, I enjoyed coaching, and I still give a little bit of advice here and there. I mean, you never lose that love. So it's just like playing. You don't lose the love for playing. You might not be able to play anymore.
That's
but,
true.
Right.
You know,
It doesn't
wanting to
mean
do
you
it
can't
is
give
still
back.
there. Right.
Right.
You're right, because before the show we were talking a little bit about I don't really want to play anymore, but I remember playing and going hard against big fellas like you and Al Gooden, trying to push you, get big boys around. I love the thought of doing that, but I have no desire to go back and play anymore. Like you still have a desire.
Yeah, if I could turn back the time, I'd do it now and go right back and start playing again.
If you could
more
turn back
often.
the time and go back and play again, we were talking about that, what would you do differently?
I would probably take officiating a little more serious because when I moved here, I stopped for a while because I was playing in leagues almost every night, pretty much every night. And so I was like, I'd rather play than officiate. So I stopped for a while. And then, if you remember correctly, you were the one that asked me, why don't I get back into officiating when you were doing that league on Sunday nights.
Which league was that?
It was on Tillman.
Oh, at
that
Fellowship.
church, Fellowship Missionary.
Yeah.
Right.
That was called the late night basketball.
Late night
Right.
basketball, or we also then we changed it to
Fort Wayne's
Fort
Best.
Wayne's Best.
Yeah.
Right. So when you asked me to start officiating again, that's when I got back into it.
We brought you out there and you officiated out there a little bit,
Right.
didn't you?
I was
Okay.
out there every week.
Okay. Did you enjoy officiating that? Because that was, I think the ages was 18 to 26-year
Right.
old.
Yeah, I believe so.
Did you enjoy officiating that age?
It was being around basketball, so
Okay.
I
Didn't
was
matter.
loving it. Didn't matter. I don't care if it's little third graders all the way up to
College.
the men's league.
Men's.
Didn't matter. You know, like being out there.
So what do you do when you're not officiating? What do you do as your full-time gig?
Well, as you, I've been knowing both of you for quite some time, and I'm always busy. But right now, I'm the strength and conditioning teacher at Northrop High School, and
That's
I
different
also-
from the last time we talked.
right. And I still work at Parkview
Okay.
Hospital for police and public safety, so I still do that part time. So I do. Quite
And
a
that
few
and that's what
things.
I've known you in for most of the time is some type of police or
Yeah.
Right.
And what's your title out there again?
For
The Parkview. You said
police and public safety.
police and public safety. Yeah, and I remember used to do that. Well, that's what I've always known you to do full time. And I think of I don't know if you knew him, Vernon Meeks.
Yeah.
Did you remember that name?
Yeah.
He passed away a few years ago,
Really,
but
really.
yeah, but Vernon, I think Vernon worked at a manufacturing organization, but he did, I think, part-time, he was in security. And
Well, what you really remember, I believe, you're talking about maybe when I first moved here for several years. I worked at Parkview. Well, actually, it was
Charter Beacon.
right, that's where I remember you
And
from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I worked with kids there.
Yeah.
I was a counselor there for teens, and actually children and adolescents. And so that's where you remember where I would bring some of the kids to the games, things like that, just to get them out because they were residential kids at the hospital, and they basically lived there.
Right.
So I guess you can kind of say I was definitely an authority figure for them and that adult that
And a
they
role
didn't
model.
have, right?
Right.
That they didn't have in their life,
What is that called? A surrogate dad?
pretty much.
Yeah.
And so, I showed them a different side of life than what they actually knew. We even had a school in there at which I even coached that basketball team there. So we actually had a full functioning school within Charter. And then, of course, Charter had closed, and Parkview bought them, and it became PBH, Parkview Behavioral Health.
And that's
So-
what it is to this day.
Right.
So I didn't know that about you. So those kids that you were working with, that you were kind of a surrogate dad and a role model, you're right. You showed them a side of life they had never seen, a positive black man doing something that wasn't illegal
Right, right.
or stupid.
For a lot of them.
Yeah.
Right.
First time they ever saw somebody like that. So do you know if any of those kids that you mentored, did any of them go into officiating?
No, none of them went into officiating. But it's funny, one of them found me probably a year ago, and she is actually a counselor now for kids in Ohio.
That's
Wow.
amazing.
So yeah.
That makes you feel good.
Oh yeah.
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 Know
it
you
did.
dropped some good seeds.
Yeah, I see some from time to time, but all of them were not from Fort Wayne. So I see some of these kids everywhere. So see some of their parents still, you know, because when parents did come, you know, they came to visit some of them, and you know, it was a good thing, and sometimes it was a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
But
now you worked with some adults too, didn't you? Didn't you do some adult
that
probation
was,
or something?
Yeah, that was after I left there. I worked at Allen County Community Corrections.
Yep. Okay.
So.
Yep.
So I was working for the reentry court program and also for the whole probation program, and I had several adults that were on home detention. Some of them eventually got off home detention, but I was still supervising.
And that was Allen County Community
Corrections.
Yes. And how long did you do that?
13 years.
Wow. So out of all the things you did in your career outside officiating, what would you say was your favorite?
I would probably say the kids at the beginning when I worked for Charter and PBH as a counselor.
Okay. Well, I know I've been talking a lot of time. You probably got some questions. Go ahead.
No, I mean, I'm just amazed. And one of the things, the part of the reason that we put this podcast together is to bring a reality to people outside of officiating that look at us when we are officiating like, oh, this official doesn't know anything, or, you know, they're whatever. You know, they all have thoughts about officiating, but, you know, the reality is that as officials, we have lives,
Right.
you know, outside of officiating, and we give back to the sport because we love the sport, because we love officiating. And, you know, that's a primary reason that we put this podcast together, was to bring a reality and let people know that we do have lives, that we take time out of our lives to study and learn the rules. And, you know, it's not all just, you know, hey, we just put a whistle and a striped shirt on and go out there and, you know, walk up and down the court. No, we actually put time in, you know, outside of our busy lives.
And we're human.
And we're human. And so we have a lot of other things going on. And so just listening to, you know, your story is amazing. I mean, just the things, you know, the number of people that you have helped outside of officiating, but also the things that you've done in the officiating world, because you're not just out there blowing your whistle.
Right.
You're out there, and we're also communicating. And a lot of times, you know, we are kind of the on the court, you know, coaches. You know, granted, I'm not coaching your kids. I'm not telling them, hey, you know, you need to run this play, or, you know, whatever. But, you know, there's a lot of times where, like, I had a player, we were doing volleyball the other day, and I had a coach say something to one of the players, you know, hey, you know, maybe instead of complaining, you know, you could just play, you know, play the game or whatever. And so the girl got really frustrated, and you could just see that she was getting ready to cry. And I walked by her and I said, hey, I said, whether you were complaining or you weren't complaining, don't argue, just play.
Right.
Just focus, just get locked in, you know. And I think she, you know,
probably needed that.
Yeah, she did. She composed herself, and she went out there. You know, they were having a tough game. They were playing a tougher team. It was just a little bit more of a struggle, and she was having a hard. Now, whether she was complaining about whatever the coach was saying, I don't know. I don't know whether she was complaining or not. She was talking to a teammate, you know, and so I just was like, hey, I don't know what you're doing, but just don't argue with your coach.
Right.
Just play.
Now, based on that, Charles, what kind of highlights can you think of in your officiating career? What'd you get that smile on your face for?
Highlights.
Something that stands out as a positive or a negative?
Well, I could say I have a lot of both of them, but would just say focusing on, or I'll start with the negative.
Okay.
Negative being, like Tanya just said, they think that we just put a striped shirt on and a whistle, and they pulled us out of the parking lot, or think I work at Foot Locker and just came out here with this striped shirt on. I mean,
I have never thought of it that way, but you're right.
With the old collar shirt.
Right. You know, some of them, you know, I've been playing this game longer than you've been alive.
Right.
Yes, sir.
You know, And I played Division I basketball. I know what it takes to play on the next level. And arguing with me or arguing with your coach is not it. So,
yes,
you know, that negative part, the disrespect that kids get from wherever they get it from, you know, regardless, this official is still an adult, still an authority figure, and some parts older than your parents or grandparents. And I know you don't talk to them that way.
Amen.
And if they do,
so
that's a problem.
You know,
You're right.
Things are a little different these days, as we know, and because I couldn't talk to an official like that.
You're right.
I have to worry about my coach pulling me out of the game for saying something. Then I'd have to worry about when I get home. Because
Mom and Daddy didn't play that.
No, we wouldn't have that.
Yeah.
So
see,
that
we told our kids you didn't have to wait till you got home. We was gonna go and take care of it right then and
That's
there.
right.
I was gonna come out there and yank
Snatch
my kid
your
off
butt
the
court.
Yeah. So you know, and again, you have that kid, you know, being disrespectful. Then you have the people in the stands, and I mean, we all are looking at the same thing. Okay, you're looking at it through a different lens. First of all, do that fan really even know what the rule is?
Right.
Probably not.
No. I'm just going to go ahead and say no.
No, you're right. They don't.
Because the one they always want is that traveling when they bobbling the ball.
Or the over the back.
Over the back.
Over the back. There's no such call in the rule book. And you know, it's funny that you mentioned that. I was doing a game, an AAU game at Speece, and this was a long time ago. And this lady just demonstratively, over the back. I just looked over at her, and the team called a timeout. And I walked over there to her, and I was like, do you have a problem with me not making a call? She said, well, that has to be something. I was like, so what you're saying is this little girl right here can be boxing me out. You know, she barely came up to my waist. And if I just reach up over the top of her and take the ball, is that a foul? And she looked, she was like, well, it has to be something. I was like, no. I was like,
it has to be
a push or a displacement. I didn't touch her. That guy didn't get touched. He just got up over the top of him because you didn't box him out. So the other lady that was saying, she was like, well, we must sound stupid over here. I was like, no more stupid than those people over there that's saying call it both ways when the foul count is 3-3. Yeah. But then after the game, because her husband was sitting right there and he was on the computer after the game, she came up and she said, you know something, Ref? I was like, what's that? She said, you're right. There's no such call in the rule book as over the back. I was like, I know that. I was like, every official in here knows that. I was like, but yet the people that's doing all the yelling, they have no clue. And she said, why do you think that is? I was like, well, sometimes on TV they still say over the back, so that's where people get it from. But until you actually get into the rule book, you don't know.
Because
I didn't know either.
Because 30, 40, 50 years ago, it was a rule.
Yeah, it was a rule.
It was
you couldn't
something.
go over somebody's
It was,
back.
what was the, it was
this.
Yes.
Like
Right.
that was the signal
That was
for
the
it.
signal.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow, you guys are really taking me back. I forgot all about this, but
Yeah, I
think I
remember
got
the
called for that a
mechanic.
few times.
I'm sure.
I'm sure you did.
What's that supposed to mean? I'm not even gonna go there. I don't even want to know the answer.
You were
to it.
you're 6'4", so you obviously you reached over people
Whatever.
all
Both
the
of
time.
y'all are insulting me, and my feelings are involved here. Anyway,
It's okay.
All right, so give us a positive highlight.
Positive. You know, believe it or not, it was in a game, little kids. It was 6th grade girls, and the team was just getting smoked. Score was like 46-8, and at that point in time, I mean, these are kids. This is instructional basketball as far as I'm concerned. So as they put the subs in, I look for players who haven't gotten a shot yet. Because at that level in my game, everybody getting at least one shot. So it was one particular girl who didn't get a shot yet. So she got the ball, and I'm sitting up there telling her shoot it, and she still didn't shoot it. So the defender got real close to her, and I just blew my whistle.
Call a foul.
And even though the foul count didn't indicate that it was 1-1, I said we're about to shoot 1-1. So
I love it.
I put her on the line, and she missed. Complete air ball. And I blew my whistle. I was like, this person moved in too soon.
We had a lane violation.
So I said, so you're going to have to shoot again. So I moved her up about 3 or 4 feet, and she made the shot. And
highlight of her life.
Right. And, after the game, the lady came up to me, and, I was thinking that she was getting ready to complain, but she said, her parents just got divorced, and she's having a hard time, and she hadn't scored all year. This is the last game, and that was the only basket she ever scored. Wow. So that's
worth remembering as a highlight.
Wow.
That's worth remembering. Because that takes it way past where a lot of people are in the wins and losses kind of thing.
Some of these girls and boys will never play basketball again.
Yep.
Right.
So at least she scored 1 point while she was playing.
And that makes her go away feeling positive about sports. Right. And that's what it's all about at that age.
And dealing with that family turmoil, that probably brought her a sense of peace.
Right. Some level of enjoyment.
Yes. Yeah.
And reconnected her with the human race. Yeah. So that was cool, man. Congratulations, sir.
Yeah. And it's kind of neat because, and it is. I mean, people have highlights. We talk about our highlights being, hey, I did a state championship game or, this or that. But, when we can affect the lives of others,
right.
I mean, I think that plays it, it makes it worth it.
Absolutely.
So
one current thing, well, it wasn't really current, it was about 2 years ago. I had a game at Siena Heights in Michigan.
College.
Right.
Okay.
And I left work early. I'm like, oh, yeah, I got plenty of time. Drove right past my house. Got my stuff. I don't need to.
I heard about this. I know what you're going to talk about.
And
they were talking about it.
About 20 minutes from the school, and all of a sudden, a light went off in my head. And I looked in my back of my truck. No bag. So all my stuff was at home.
Oh, no.
And so I pulled over at this truck stop, and I called the supervisor, and he was like, oh, well, just hold on a second. Give me about 10 minutes. So I sat there, and he called back, and he said, hey, a couple guys going to meet you over at the school, and the coach is going to have some shoes for you. And the guys that he got, I mean, one of them was like 5'8", and he had like a 40 inseam, and I wear 34. So I'm like, I had
safety
on
pants,
right? I had, even when I put the pants on, they were about this short. So I had on dark navy khakis, and I ended up using the shoes. One of the coaches had pair of 14s, and one pair was just raggedy as all get out. The other one was dark blue with a thick white stripe.
You had to say thick white stripe.
Yeah, real thick. And so that's what I wore. And
blue pants.
Oh man.
Blue
the shoes match though.
They match the pants.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah, it's a fashion thing. You know what's so funny about this though is, ironically, I just had a game. I think it was a week and a half ago I just wrote down the name, Ronnie and Matt, and we were at Goshen College, I believe, and we were talking about that very thing in the locker room, and they brought your name up because we were talking about remembering or forgetting stuff. And he said, "Oh, Chuck has the best story." They told that same story.
Oh yeah, people tried to take pictures. I was like, "You better put that phone down." Put that phone down.
Somebody gonna get hurt up in there.
Well, we were just doing a game at Mississinawa this year, weren't we?
Oh yeah,
and you didn't have your shirt.
Yeah, I did. I forgot my shirt.
Yeah, he forgot his reference.
That is the worst. But the whole bag.
Yeah, the
whole bag.
Fortunately, in my situation, the JV guy who came in did the game before us, he had an extra shirt.
Yeah.
He had an old shirt, so I had an old patch on. I didn't care. I was like, look.
Yeah, nobody pays attention to us anyway.
Yeah.
So.
What final things you got? Because I see you. She's winking at me like we only got about a few seconds left.
I wasn't. But yeah, I mean we're getting close there. What did you think about the rule changes that we had for this year and the high school level?
Did I see you roll your eyes on that?
No. Some of them were women's college rules.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Mm-hmm. So I've been doing those rules for quite some time.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So the 4 spots is
second nature.
Right.
Yeah. And the 5 fouls.
5 fouls. I tell you what.
I love that.
I love
5
it.
fouls.
When they did that in women's college, I was like, this is gonna be awful.
Yeah.
But that game went by so fast.
Yes, sir. Yep.
And nobody wants to sit there and shoot free throws for the entire fourth quarter.
Right.
Yep.
So when you have a bad quarter, we'll say, and you got 6 fouls at the end, start it all over. Because otherwise, that whole second period, we're going to be shooting free throws.
I was doing a women's college game over the weekend, or no, last week, and we're going up and down the court, and it was, as the fan told us, 6-1 on fouls.
How would he know?
Because he was counting them.
Oh.
He was keeping track, because of course his team only had one, it was 6 fouls against his team. So, and then, we called a foul against the other team. I didn't hear him yell out 6-2. So but when it was, lopsided 6-1, he needed to let us know.
But on the board, they still only showed 5.
It still only showed 5, 5-1. But it was just kind of humorous that.
We all hear that.
Yeah.
And sometimes I tell them, stop shooting jumpers.
Yep.
This team is going to the basket.
Yeah, and that was the difference. One team was playing zone, and the other team was attacking the basket.
Right.
Well,
that matters.
What do you want me to do with that?
Can't help that.
So, and I'm sorry that your girls don't know how to move your feet.
That's your strategy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Your strategy is to shoot threes. Theirs is to go to the basket. Guess who's going to get fouled more?
And what's that we heard when we were young players? You live by the 3, you die by the 3. If you're hitting threes tonight, y'all probably going to win by 30 points. If you're missing, you're going to be complaining about the fouls.
Yep.
I always tell people that the Golden State Warriors ruined basketball.
Oh, yeah. Everybody wants to shoot from half court.
7-footers now coming out shooting threes.
Right.
Yeah.
And if it was that easy, all of them would be doing it. It's not that easy.
It's all about the threes and all about the dunks. You don't see a lot of big play.
There's no big man play in the game anymore. The bigs are handling the rock.
Right.
And they're shooting threes.
Yeah, so it's crazy. Yeah. But let's talk about, real quick, we'll kind of sum up here. What do you see as far as, like, we all know, we've talked about it in previous podcasts, our need of officials. Like, we know across the board and in the nation that we're hurting. We're hurting in all sports. What kind of suggestions or maybe remedies do you see as far as correcting this area?
Ooh, as far as correcting it, I don't really know if you can, unless, because how I see it, it's a lot of people, the reason why some people even get out of it is because they're tired of being ridiculed about everything.
Well, and it's hard, I'm sorry to cut in, it's hard when we're being ridiculed by not only fans, coaches and players, but now we're also being ridiculed by our own associations and fellow officials. Like, I'm part of a couple Facebook pages, and it's supposed to be a learning platform, and I go on there and I read comments, and it's amazing to me how much people will criticize a person for just asking a question. How about just find it in the rule book, post it, and be done with it?
Yeah. Well, that's a problem. But, I think sometimes people can get past that part because it's almost an individual thing, because you don't work with, like, all three of us officiate.
Right.
We don't work every game.
Right.
So we don't work every game together. So I can get by with, okay, I'm only going to work with him one time.
Yes.
So I'm good with that, and I just take my check and go on home. But, as far as, you being ridiculed by everyone, as we saw over the summer, I mean, it gets to the point where parents want to fight.
Right. Physically attack officials.
So, I mean, nobody wants to put up with that.
Right.
It could be one of the best part-time jobs that you could have. I mean, the money for what you do is great. And, I mean, I can't even explain that part to you. But well, you already know.
Right.
We get paid to work out.
Right.
Basically.
And to watch a game.
Yes.
And this fan don't know. I want to see a good game too.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
I don't have a dog in a fight. I can care less who wins.
That's right.
I want to see a good game. Best team is going to win. And a lot of people have thin skin. So to put up with the ridicule, they just don't want to do it. They would love that check, but
Right.
I'm going to have to put up with this. I don't really want to do that.
Yeah.
My mother asked me, why would I want a job like that? And, she was at one of my games. I was at St. Mary's, and she was at the game, and the two guys who were sitting near her was just going in on us officials, right? And the guy looked over at her, and eventually he looked over at her. He's like, "Is one of your kids out there?" She said, "Yeah, that's my son right there. It's the official." And he didn't say another word for about 3 or 4 minutes. And then he said, "Well, how do you feel? How does it make you feel when people talk about your son, like what we doing, like we talking about officials?" And she said, "You know what? I asked him that same thing." And he said, my response to her was, "Mom, I've been playing this game all my life. I played high school, I played Division I, I played briefly overseas." I was like, 99% of these people in here don't know this game as well as I do. I was like, so they just up there running their mouth. It's probably somebody that can't even play and never played.
Correct.
So, she told him that. He didn't say another word. So, I mean, to answer your question, to get more officials in, I try. And, some of them say, "Oh, yeah, I'm trying to take the test next year." But, the problem is in basketball, as opposed to football, the fans are 20, 30 yards away from you.
Right.
So you could care less what they got to say.
Because you can't
You
hear
can't
them
really
anyway.
hear
Can't
'em.
hear them anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
Basketball, they are right behind you.
Yep.
Yes, sir. Right on top of you.
Right behind you, and you hear everything. They say, "Oh, you're not supposed to listen." Come on, baby.
Yeah, we're human.
You gonna hear it.
Yep.
So,
And especially the
Absolutely.
one that wants to be heard.
Yes.
Right.
And that's the one that everybody, we zone in on, and we're like, okay, you might be exiting the gym.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm proud to say that I only kicked 2 people out of games, and that was 2 people that was sitting next to each other, and they both just run their mouth, and they were just getting, their team was just getting smashed.
Where was this at?
Black Hawk Christian against Black Hawk Christian against Lighthouse. It was the visiting team. This was when what's the kid's name? Lefty.
Ed Blackhawk.
Purdue.
Oh,
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. Can't think of
Oh
his
my
name.
gosh, and his brother's playing with him
Right,
there now too.
That's gonna bother me.
Okay,
Of course,
yeah.
we're gonna think about it when the show is done.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
And they were just beating the brakes off this team.
Yeah.
And that was a good team.
And you
Blackhawk.
come right.
Yeah.
And you come in trying to shoot threes, and Caleb first.
Yep. First.
And you
Yep.
trying to guard him with people that barely come up to his chest.
Oh, he was a man among boys.
Absolutely.
What was he,
And
6'9"?
He was at least.
And-
well,
and-
he was about 6'7", 6'8".
And I watched him one time, refed him. It was hard not to be a fan. As I was refing that guy, I was
Yeah,
like,
I was
ooh,
like,
that
that's
young man is strong.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a nice move.
Yes.
And
And he never says a word.
Right.
He just plays.
Yep.
They
he just
hang on him
plays
like he's
and
monkey bars, and he never says a word.
never said a word. And they were all over him. And the coach was like, Chuck, they just all over Caleb. They killing him out there.
He's not
I
feeling
was
it.
like, you're right. I was like, but some of these calls, I was like, man, I can't make these calls. I was like, I have to kick everybody out of here. So what did Mark do? And Mark and I had that type of relationship where we can talk. And what did he do? He took all the starters out of the game. I mean, they were winning like, I think the score was like 75-40 at the end of the third quarter.
Ooh.
And it was in the middle of the fourth quarter when the lady got kicked out. And the player, that she was cheering for, he was like, I don't know what she was talking about. She's like, y'all not even calling that many fouls on us.
Right.
The players.
I was
The
like,
players
player
even
said
notice
that.
it.
And
Yeah.
the players are usually more intelligent than the
Right.
mom and dad. The parents are usually up there, and they think that they're contributing by dogging the refs or dogging the calls. And it amazes me when they say stupid things like, you need to make a. I had to call a tech on a coach the other day. It was AAU, and he's like, "Well, you need to call more fouls." And I looked at the scoreboard. And I looked at him. I said, "Coach, you do realize the fouls are 5-5, right?" Yeah, but we should be at 15. And then I just went down court and ignored him. And then he said something. I was like, "Okay." I just teched him, But of course, coaches on that level, like you said, they don't know the rules. He didn't even know what the seatbelt rule was. He didn't realize he's got a coach from a seated position, but. People just get emotional.
Well, and he won't tell you that he almost cleared a whole section, whole fan section, during a fourth grade game. Fourth grade game, and you
didn't
got
do it,
parents and
but
fans over there using the F-bomb.
Yeah.
Really?
I stopped the game.
Fourth grade.
I stopped the game and I turned around and I was furious. And I looked, because I had been hearing some rumblings, and I turned around and said, look, I'm going to say this one time, and I was a lot louder than I am right now. I said, if I hear anything else that makes me stop this game using profanity, and this one lady started, I said, nope, you've had your chance. I'm talking. And the parents are looking at me, and they were from out of town. I said, if I hear anything else, a derogatory language over here, any type of profanity, from here to here is leaving the gym. Am I clear? And they ain't saying, I told her I was surprised, because surprisingly, I was like, Lord, please don't let these people say anything, because I'm going to have to stop this game and clear it. And I didn't want to have to do that.
Right.
But, sometimes I think people just need to get sent a strong message that we're tired of the stupidity.
Yep.
Sometimes they don't think that you'll say something
Exactly.
Right.
Because they usually get away with acting like that. But the three of us, I think, when we get on the court, is like, I'll listen to a little bit of it, but when it gets to be ridiculous,
then I'll say something.
because I have to, because these kids just want to have a good time.
Right.
They just want to experience a good ball game. Like you said, we want to see a good ball game, but you can bring that stupidity in here, and you think that's your way of being a fan, which that's short for fanatic. You can't go too fanatical on me, or I'm going to become Medea on you, and you got to leave the building. But fortunately, I didn't have to. So we're going to end on a positive note, because I'm getting carried away. What you got for us, T?
All right. So, did you have anything else that you would like to add?
No, that's good.
Okay.
I enjoyed myself.
Well,
Yes,
thank
sir.
you so much for joining us.
Yep.
Just to wrap up, we do have some classes that we will be posting online soon for
Damn.
referee training school. You can go to www.reftrainingschool.com, and I will have those posted hopefully this week. I've been working with some facilities to get those scheduled, and so hopefully we'll get that posted soon. We also have some upcoming things for Hoosier 3-on-3.
And as you see,
And,
we've got the sign behind us that
yes.
says Hoosier3on3.com, so you can go there and kind of keep track with
Yep.
the events coming up.
So-
The next one we have scheduled is going to be the first day of Three Rivers Festival, which will be July the 12th, which is a Friday. So be looking forward to that, and we're in the workings for some other things along with Hoosier 3-on-3. So just stay in tune, or stay tuned to all the upcoming events. Got anything else we need
No,
to
sir.
touch on?
Thank you very much for joining us.
Appreciate you, man.
No problem.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
And
Thanks.
we look forward to having you guys join us for more segments in the future. We have some exciting ones coming up with some other really popular people, just like Mr. Smith. So look forward to seeing you out there, and all things official. Take care, folks. Thanks again for listening to RefTime, powered by RefTrainingschool.com and Hoosier3on3.com. Produced by Coraggio Media. RefTime is recorded in WELT Studios in beautiful downtown Fort Wayne, Indiana.
To join RTS, visit reftrainingschool.com. Please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Until next time.